Your lifestyle choices are either fueling your life or holding you back. So what's it going to be? It's time to cut the crap. Roll theme. Welcome to the Johnny Jensen Show, where modern dads discover how to create the true riches, relationships and results they deserve. Get your High Value Man blueprint and join our community at highvaluemanproject.com. Let's go. Hello men, welcome to this episode of the Johnny Jensen Show. Time to cut the crap. One of the core tenets of the commitment C of the 3XC formula for living is about cutting the crap. It's side of commitment, basically. So commitment is the third C, and one aspect of commitment is cutting the crap. We're going to look today at what it takes not to turn your life into some boring health flipping show, but really just to put the spotlight on how some of our choices, how some of the ways that we operate fundamentally are holding us back. And so when we're wanting to experience our results, our relationship, our thought process, just really how we're functioning and enjoying life, then we have to look at what we're putting into the machine. Crap in, crap out, basically. So cutting the crap is really what today is all going to be about. If you're here for the first time, then welcome. My name is Johnny Jensen. I'm the founder and head coach at the High Value Man Project, where we help men end the stress, optimize their lifestyle, and create the relationships they desire so they can be the man they want to be. And if you're interested in getting into our free brotherhood, then simply go to highvaluemanproject.com. And if you're interested in finding out what it takes to really embrace the high value man lifestyle, then book a power call and get yourself lined up for the inner circle or the elite program of men that are working with me one-on-one. You can do that simply going to highvaluemanproject.com/apply. That'll get you there. So, cutting the crap. I think it's fair to say that I have put a lot of crap in my body through my life, and there are still a few guilty pleasures. For a long time, well, back in the dark days of the marriage and that breakup and trying to keep the business afloat and looking after kids that were poorly and a wife that was unwell and all the stuff that came there, I was necking way too much Monster, which I'm sure you're all familiar with Monster, but basically it's like a bigger, louder Red Bull, basically. So the reason I'm laughing and smiling, for those that can't see the video, it is still a little bit of a guilty pleasure. The green one, it stinks and it's horrible, but it is a little bit of a guilty pleasure. One of the things I like about it is it just focuses my mind. And there are other ways of doing that. And I'm constantly looking and evolving my supplement stack and the ways in which I practice my mindfulness, whether it's meditation or journaling. But and it may be, and I hate to flipping drop this in because it feels like every dickhead's mentioning it these days, but on the level of ADHD, it's likely that something like a can of Monster really does actually help me focus. But fundamentally, crap in, crap out is what is giving too many men an aspect of the negative experiences of their life. It's the bit that you have probably the most control over. How you function, what you eat, what you watch. These are all things, literally, if we think about, where do we start in the fire code? We start with focus, which is you. Taking control of the things that you can manage the easiest. No point sitting around waiting for everybody else to change without realizing how much of your experience and joy and results is in your hands. So cutting the crap, like I said, it's not about being the fun police. You can listen. There are dudes out there who've got YouTube podcasts. They're blowing up, and they're very strict about, no alcohol. Look what I've achieved by cutting out all this stuff. And without doubt, you can make the case for that. people that have given up booze and, and how it's transformed their life. I have no doubt that that is absolutely true. And if that's what you want to do, and even if you just want to experiment with it to see what it's like, and we're going to mention that actually in a bit, about the benefit of cutting something out for 30 days or 90 days and seeing what the results are, maybe just a reset and then pick it back up again. But for me, it's really about balance. I do enjoy a beer or a glass of wine. It's very rare that I get blasted these days. Not so rare when we were younger. Not so rare. But then having said that, I've grown up on eating well, of exercising, of I don't know, but I never really enjoyed fizzy drinks too much when I was a kid, even though my dad had the garage full of them. We could just go and help ourselves as much as we wanted. Now, Coca-Cola, I only started really drinking when I started drinking Jack Daniels and Coke, basically. So you got to have a look for yourself at what your lifestyle looks like and start to notice some of the things that we're going to go through now and seeing how many of them are in your life, how prevalent or how much of it, is there, and consider what would the impact, what would the benefit, what would the uplift be if you cut some of that out. And most of these things, most of this crap that we put into our body, it's like a payoff. There's some kind of dopamine, joy, adrenaline, energy rush that we get when we take it. But like everything, there's a payoff. Like there's a come down, if you like, from those positives. And that, when you consider that, if you're always having to take them to feel good, then there's always going to be an ever increasing backslide afterwards. And that's where these stimulants, that's where these negatives start to play out and impact your life. So let's get into them. Number one, I've got in my list here. I'm going to do that one last, actually. But the thing that we have, first of all, to look at is our environment. It's very easy to say, oh, I'm going to cut this out and I'm going to cut that out. But if the environment we are trying to do that in hasn't shifted, then that actually becomes quite difficult. And at its most basic level, if you're trying to give up smoking, but you hang around with people that smoke, well, guess what? It's going to be bloody hard, because all the places they go, all the habits they have, all the routines, all the chit chat. Now, I'm not saying ditch your mates, but you have to consider, if you're trying to give up smoking, but you spend all your time around people that smoke, that's an example of how environment becomes a factor. And when we're talking about cutting the crap, the clutter around you, the ability to see clearly in front of you, to have your environment at peace. Like our eyes, without us realizing it, our eyes are constantly registering millions of things every day. And thanks to the wonders of our brain, I think it's our reticular activation system, but it helps filter those visual and audible and smells. Like it filters some of them, because if you imagined the idea that you could hear and smell and see everything that's going on around us, we'd go absolutely mental. But on a more day-to-day level, the amount of clutter and crap in your environment clogs up your mind. It clogs up your ability to move through the day freely, and even in managing your time. Like if you're constantly having to clear up or move around things, then you create a cluttered environment. You've now got a cluttered mind, and all these other things that we might talk about, that you might try, that we're going to talk about afterwards, becomes harder. Okay, so have a look at what it would look like to clean up, to clear stuff out, to get it all on eBay, to take it to the tip, to drop it at the charity shop. What's it going to take to tidy up, clear out your environment? And as you're doing that, particularly around the kitchen, have a look. Have a funny story. We did a pretty cool functional fitness event on Saturday, Joe and I, and it was a team-based thing, so you had to do it in pairs. And as I was getting my stuff ready, I asked my kid to help me, Jago. And I said, "Oh, get me those gel, like vent gel pack things. I need to use those." So he went and got them. And I said, "Oh, what's the best before date on there?" And he goes, "Oh, Feb 22nd." I was like, "Oh, okay." You could probably already see what's coming. But I was just busy, and I was like, "Yeah, cool, chuck them in the bag." So then I'm at the event, and I'm necking one of these things, and it's brown. I'm like, that was not brown last time I had one. So bizarrely, it turned out the best before date was February 22, as in 2022. Yeah, so there we're about 3 years out of date. So that's the impact of having crap and clutter and things that are out of date in your life. Next up is, I have made myself notes because that's always handy. Next up is diet and alcohol, right? Cutting back on processed foods. You know, you hear about it all the time, like what is the cost of processed foods? Obesity and diabetes. I've even heard it being said now that sugar is one of the primary, it's becoming apparent that sugar is one of the primary factors in the rise in dementia. So all these highly refined and processed foods are all around us. So what's it going to take for you to start cutting them out? Well, pretty much if it's white bread, white rice, white sugar, these things are highly processed, pasta even, so can you swap them for whole wheat, whole meal, brown versions of this, or even just cut them out completely? Sugar in particular. Sugar is everywhere. It's in flipping everything. Crack open a can of soup, it's got sugar in. Things that desserts, bread, even particularly, I don't really drink dairy, but I do have milk substitutes like coconut and almond, and some of them have got a lot of sugar in. So have a look at what you can cut out in terms of your diet, what kind of adjustments that you can make. Could you swap, if you're eating yogurts, could you swap the flavoured, versions for a natural Greek type yogurt? But fundamentally, if it's white, like highly refined, then you probably should try and cut it out. Caffeine. Caffeine is a pretty good drug, basically. I enjoy a coffee. It definitely helps kickstart my day. What is not advised is drinking shitloads of it. In particular, after sort of 3 o'clock, if you don't want it to impact your sleep, regardless of whether you think, oh, it doesn't bother me, cut out caffeine for a period of 30 to 60 days. And first of all, you would experience probably quite harsh headaches. And obviously there's some the habitual sides of it where you're missing it, where you like the idea of a lemon and ginger tea is an absolute abomination, not as satisfying. But after 3 weeks, your taste buds adjust and you find yourself not craving that thing that you thought you couldn't go without every day. But equally interesting is what time of day you have your first coffee. Definitely try and avoid having your first coffee until about 90 minutes after you've woken up. There's a drug, and listen, I'm not the expert in these things, but I do know a little bit about them. I believe it's a drug called adenosine in our body, and it needs to. It's as I recall. I should just check this out, right? But I'm pretty sure it's part of how we manage our sleep. And what you don't want is to kick it out using the caffeine. You want it to naturally wear off after you've been asleep, and then chuck a coffee inside of you after that. So quite frankly, when I get up in the morning, large pint of water, large glass of water, a little bit of salt in there, a little bit of lemon, a lemon and ginger tea or whatever tea that more of a herbal type non-caffeine drink there. Hot's good because it loosens things up in your chest and stuff. And then kick in the coffee when your day starts. And going back to that point about sugar and stuff, if you're having some super duper wappuccino with chocolate sprinkles on top, then that is flipping a hoofing great amount of dairy, of sugar, of chocolate. I mean, it's just like, don't do that. Crap in, crap out. Although it might taste fabulous, What's it doing to you? Why do you need that amount of sugar and junk going into you? Have some level of consideration for what you're putting in your body. Have some level of respect for yourself. If you're going to the gym and working out, as we do encourage as part of the High Value Man Project, you know, at least 3 workouts a week, at least one 5K or more run or other kind of cardiovascular activity. You've got to be working out. You've got to be increasing the muscle in your body. So if you're doing that and then hoofing in sugar casually without even really thinking about it, well, what's the bloody point? Like that's literally holding yourself back. I said at the beginning, how are you fueling your life? What are you putting in the machine? Okay, alcohol. It really is a question of how much you're drinking. Now we could argue the toss with people about cutting it out completely, and is it a toxin? Is it making you sluggish? Is it holding back your creativity? It probably is. We all know what it feels like to have a hangover, but the thing comes, and it always sticks in my mind. A good guy, an athlete in terms of like triathlons and stuff, a businessman, and he gave me a call. This was about 1.5 years ago now. And he said, I think I've got a problem. I think I'm drinking at least a bottle of wine a day. Now, my dad would argue that that's okay, but he is 81 and he is an exception to most rules, basically. But this guy he's like, he'd have a glass of wine when he kind of, 6:30, finished work, got in, boom, part of his evening routine would be have a glass of wine. Then he'd have his dinner and he'd be like, okay, another glass of wine, maybe a little bit, a glass and a half of wine. And then you sit down on the couch and you look at the bottle of wine. Well, there's only a glass left. Well, it's not really a glass, is it? It's a big glass. But that was his routine. And he was doing, in his own admission, a bottle of red a night, and he'd realised it was a problem. So I like the social side of having a glass of wine. There are reported health benefits of a glass of red wine. And from a relationship point of view, my girlfriend and I enjoy sitting and having a drink together. Whether that's a cosy drink in the winter, whether it's sat out on the deck in the summer. It's not about cutting all these things out, in my opinion, but it is about recognizing how much you're drinking and what the impact is on you, on your weight, on your heart, on your mental and cognitive skills. Too much alcohol is not good. Next up, sugar. I've pretty much talked about it, but just have a look at where the good sugars are coming from, right? I mean, that's a bit of a random thing to say, but if you like chocolate, what are the kind of substitutes? Could you have dark chocolate instead of milk chocolate? If, what could you do to try and eat more fruit? In my cereal in the morning, I'm making porridge and putting dried cranberries in there and some chia seeds and some a seed mix like high in omega-3s. That is infinitely healthier than some kind of bagged up muesli or let alone flipping Frosties or do like Frosties is a classic, right? Everyone likes a Frosty, but again, that's a hooping amount of sugar and is not good for you. So pay attention to where the sugar's coming from. Crisps, chips. I mean, have a look, cut it out. Fizzy drinks. We talked about Monster at the beginning and stuff, but just be aware. Like when you go and get a big drink somewhere and it's like a 3/4 litre of fizzy of Coca-Cola or whatever your preference is, try and quench your thirst with water, with herbal teas, with you can get. We're blokes, right? I get that we're not really going to do much of this, but so rather than spout off about loads of get this kind of water and get this kind of drinks bottle and get this kind of and cut out the plastics and all that sort of stuff. I know we're probably not going to do most of that, but you can become aware of how much of the shit stuff you are putting in you. Fizzy water for me is a great substitute in the evening when I fancy a beer, or and I'll have a glass of soda water, fizzy water, and it's actually the bubbles and the thirst that I'm quenching. It was actually the fact that I was dehydrated and thirsty that was having me think about having a beer. And on that point, by the way, how much water you drink is vital. Some sort of litre and a half to 2 litres to 3 litres is what you should be consuming. A litre and a half really wouldn't be enough. But if you have a pint of water when you wake up and you set it on your watch so that, every 3 hours or so you have another drink. If you link it into moments in your day, like they're getting up, but like when you get home, go to the sink, neck a pint of water. It's very easy to suddenly find yourself 2 to 3 litres of water a day. And by the way, at home, get yourself a decent sized water filter jug where you can flipping pipe it in now through and have the filter as part of your sink. But the filter I've got, and that I share the link in all the High Value Man documents and trainings, it's like a 4 litre jug. So there's always filtered water available. Next up, takeaway and processed food. It blows my mind. The whole Deliveroo, Just Eat, whatever it's called where you live, it blows my mind. I should try it, I suppose, but I object kind of to the cost. I want some random to bring me. In the UK, there's a baker's, right? They're everywhere, called Greg's. Questionable, just still fast food, but it feels a bit less fast food because it's like it's a sausage roll or it's a sandwich. But people get a Greg's sausage roll delivered to their house, and then they pay whatever the sausage roll costs, like £1.50, and then pay the delivery charge. It just blows my mind. McDonald's, you're lucky if they serve it to you hot when you're in the place. What's it like after it's been rattling around in some dude's rucksack for the last flipping 3 kilometres? It just boggles my brain. And the crazy thing is, I think it's the people who least need fast food delivered by someone that are consuming it all. So, but be aware. My point is, be aware. How many times are you eating a takeaway? How many times are you grabbing food that's a ready meal or packaged up? This kind of, it is going to be highly processed. It's going to have preservatives in it, and it's not going to do your body, your digestion, your cognitive skills, your sleep. It's not going to do it good. It's like high in sugar, high in salt, high in fat. Cooking fresh is such a positive factor in your family, in your personal life, in your creative abilities. Again, back to the cognitive skills. What happens when your brain is working on preparing a meal, managing ingredients, managing timings, managing flavors? Like this is a workout for your mind. Ripping the top off something and sticking it in for 2 minutes is the exact antithesis of that. It's a shit meal prepared in a shit way that's going to give you 0 results. Next up, drugs. I have taken a fair amount of drugs in my time, predominantly in the name of fun. And I don't say that with any pride, but nor do I say it with any guilt. What I do have is a load of fun memories from those days. And even now, it's not something I would necessarily hunt out, but I'm not sure it would be something I would necessarily say no to either. The problem is when it's a everyday part of how you function. People who, obviously, in lots of parts of the world right now, cannabis is becoming increasingly legalized. THC, gummies. There are arguments to be made for how it can enhance your creative abilities, how it can help you problem solve, how it can help you relax, I'm not here to say that they aren't true. It's a question of how you're using it or whether it's using you. And the impact on relationships, on your finances, and there's a great difference between having, you could put alcohol into drugs or whatever, but something harder, something used on a regular basis. I guess I'm picking my words here. What I'm really saying is, I think we all know people that take drugs, generally there was an element of fun in it. You have to start to recognise, though, when that line is crossed between it not being healthy, it not being good for your finances, it not being good for your relationships, it's not being good for your performance in work, it's compromising your behaviour as a parent, it's breaking the law at a highly dangerous level, you're compromising your integrity, lying, hiding things. Like this is where the impact starts to come, let alone on the physical and mental level. So see what it's like. If you use these things on a regular basis, see what it's like without them. Cut it out for 10 weeks. Notice the difference in your life. Ask the people that care about you most what they think about it. And if you find that conversation hard, then that'll probably be a good indication of how you truly feel about it. Okay, last couple here. Porn. Now, porn, most of us have enjoyed a bit of porn once in a while. And you might even enjoy it as a couple. And we're not going to get into the subject here of what the porn industry is like and what the impact is on people that are part of it, right? That's a different subject. This subject here today is about the impact of porn on you and your relationship, on your relationship with yourself and your relationship with the person that you love. There is no denying that an orgasm feels good and in many cases can be argued that it's pretty healthy. So this isn't a conversation about masturbation or sex or, but it is a conversation about what happens when you watch porn on a regular basis. What happens when it's done out of, as a result of a breakdown in the intimacy in your relationship? Because not only then are you using it as a substitute, it's how you're feeling about it to yourself. Like, I'm doing this because I'm not getting it elsewhere. I'm doing it because she doesn't love me. Then there becomes this whole kind of cloud around actually what it's all about. And then what will she do if she finds out that you're watching it every night? Then what's going to happen in your relationship? What's it doing to your mindset around sex and intimacy? What people find when they watch a lot of porn is that their level of intimacy in their relationship actually goes down. The level of enjoyment in their sex life actually goes down. So before you find yourself using porn on a regular basis as some sort of crutch in your life, and if you're single, well, a little bit here and there is fine, but if you're doing it every night, then consider anything that you're doing every night. Even going to the gym, you can do that to excess, okay? Refocus your energy on building meaningful connections. Have conversations about sex with your partner. Have conversations about your fantasies and her fantasies together. These conversations are generally felt like a bit awkward, but again, like, what's the difference between this whole point about crap in, crap out? A porn habit that is a dirty little secret and you feel crap about yourself versus, an awkward conversation. Well, not really an awkward conversation. What if it was a fun conversation that led to you both getting the horn and having great sex? Surely that is a better outcome. Okay, and gambling. This one's really easy. It is the same as porn. And I'm going to throw social media here in as well, okay, right? If you're finding yourself reaching for your phone all the time, if you're finding yourself using it as a distraction, if you're finding yourself playing little games or having a little gamble, it's just unnecessary. It's taking you away from the people and the places in your life. And the reason gambling does that is because if you've got a bet on, and let's say you're having a family dinner and you're thinking about whether that bet's going to pay off or not, or whether you should be watching it, you're not present in the conversation. And if your finances are being strained because of your gambling, if your relationship is being strained because of how much social media or flipping Call of Duty you're playing, these all fall into the same area for me. These gambling companies, social media companies, games manufacturers, they build their services around the reality that we get a dopamine kick from doing these things. We get a little dopamine buzz, a little woo, the experience. Even when we lose, we get the experience, the little high of, yeah, it's going to happen. But then there's the crash, and we look for the hit again, and we go and do it more. And gambling, of course, is a terrible addiction when it grips you. And I've not experienced it myself. I have had people in my life who have. And if you think you've got a problem, then the first thing to do, a bit like alcohol or drugs, is seek advice, seek support. Even if you're just like, I wonder if, go and ask someone. Because if you're thinking, I wonder if, it probably means you are addicted. So when you cut the crap, right, there should be an uplift in your life. There should be a benefit that comes from this. And the way you do this in the cut the crap exercise inside of the high value man inner circle is very simple. There's a sheet of paper. You've got the bad habit and you've got the payoff, right? The bad habit is I drink too much. What is the payoff? It feels good. What is the cost? 50 quid a week, a deteriorating relationship, a fat gut, a headache. And then in the fourth and final column, you put the benefit of giving up, the positive outcomes. Now, you might be thinking they're going to happen and you're going to test it, or you might have been doing this for 3 weeks and you put it in there as that was the experience. That's what I'm getting from this. The opportunity that comes for us as men when we make these adjustments in our lifestyle, when we change our environment, when we control and start to put healthier limits around what we put into our body and what we do with our time, then it frees up space for positive substitutes, for more time to work on ourselves, either in the gym or in business or listening to something useful. It gives us time to start managing our day-to-day moments better because we're being more effective. We're being more decisive. How we show up in our lives to the people that are around us, we're suddenly present. We're available. We're full of joy and laughter. We start to look good. We start to be able to play better. We are energized. We're better in bed. We have more enjoyable sex. Like the uplift from cutting the crap is huge. And it's totally in your hands. So any of these where you're thinking, yeah, but Johnny, or I couldn't do that, I challenge you to give it a go now. I challenge you to take the next, it could be 7 days. It could be 21. It could be 60. But you've got to give yourself a period of time where you can go through the journey, where you can be like, oh, I want a coffee. Oh, mint tea tastes like shit. Oh, a bag of mixed nuts is not a bag of Doritos. You have to go through that tricky period where you still want the thing you're giving up and you don't really like the substitute you put in place. After a period of time, after 3 or 4 weeks, that's when your brain, your taste buds, your habits all begin to adjust. And this new way of being starts to become normal. In particular, when you start to feel the benefits, other people notice the benefits. You get the rewards in bed, in work, wherever it might be, with your children. That's a high value man way of living. That is an optimized lifestyle. And when we say you end the stress, you optimize your lifestyle and you transform your relationships, they're all interlinked and they are all in your control. I invite you to come and be part of everything we're doing here at the High Value Man Project, whether that's in the free brotherhood community or whether that's getting involved in the inner circle or elite level. The way that you do that is you go to the highvaluemanproject.com and you make your choice. I am absolutely thrilled that you've spent this time with me today. Please share this with other men in your world. Remember to like or subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I would love you to give me a review. I keep forgetting to mention this. We will be doing review of the week. I need to get some reviews first. That's why I'm asking you right now is go and give a review. There's every chance that you will win the review of the week right now. And that review of the week results in a power call with me. A power call is normally £150 and it's a a focus, a deep dive on a particular challenge or goal that you have right now, and we create some tangible actions that you can take to move yourself forward around that particular target. So that's a lot of instructions. Come and get involved at thehighvaluemanproject.com. Share and like and subscribe and leave a review to this podcast. And I'll see you on the next episode. Let's go. Thanks for tuning in to the Johnny Jensen Show. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review and share it with fellow dads. Creating the life you deserve starts with you. Get your High Value Man blueprint and join our community of motivated modern dads at highvaluemanproject.com. Let's go.